Our academic and applied esports program provides our competitive gamers a national stage to compete with other Division I universities. Our academic objective allows us to use esports to foster innovative, interdisciplinary connections.
Esports right now is an ever-expanding career field, and having the opportunity to showcase its many facets through education is really inspiring.
Define yourself. Will you impact the future? Will you lead the pack? Will you engage the world? Will you find the cure? Will you be the hope? So, will you? Come see how St. John students are changing the world every day. Visit us today.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. Our second week of I guess this would be the spring semester. So welcome to Insalty back to continue things up here today. We're going to be starting things off St. John's versus William and Mary. Twin, how are we feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. This first game, it's quite a doozy. You got William and Mary 7-1 and 7-2, I should say. St. John's 8-1. Both these teams looking red hot, and I cannot wait to see what they're both going to be able to do today as we have a look at our map selector. We're starting off with Lijiang, then Hollywood and Volskaya, and then if we need to go to them, Route 66 and Busan. But both of these teams are red hot. St. John's won 6 of their won 6 straight. William and Mary has won 7 straight. So two very hot teams after a little bit of a rough start to the season early on. So hopefully it works out for them.
Absolutely agree. And Twin, this is one of those matches that I tend to get a little bit excited for because, when we talk about that competition, those maps that can go potentially to, higher scores than just 3-0 Overwatch. A lot of times, I think as casters, we tend to focus on the higher skill teams. But when that happens, that can very much happen in the mid tier as well. Mid to high tier, I should say, giving the respect that both of these teams deserve. So these teams aren't the UT Arlingtons. They're not the Colorados, but they are still going to be putting up a good fight. And I'm still expecting we might see them get some pretty high scores.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see, some very contested maps. Maybe once we get to the payload map, some very high time banks. But, as we were loading in here, it'll be Control Center for round number 1 for St. John's. And for St. John's and William and Mary, I should say. And we're going to have to wait and see what each of these teams have up their sleeves. As going to see probably maybe a Symmetra coming out or a Junkrat. I know we saw some Doomfist on the previous game from Marist College. So curious to see if any of these teams have some niche strats coming up.
Very niche stretch. It does not seem to be the case unless you count Mr. Koala Man on that Sigma. But when you talk about this command center, you'd know that you're going to have a lot of those close range environments, a lot of those close quarters combats. So far, both teams for the DPS hovering that Sim and Junkrat. Of course, when you're talking control, you talk the Sim. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be rolling the Sim. You might just be using it to get out of spawn that much faster.
Yeah, get out of spawn. But honestly, for this map, you might actually run it if you want to get control of White Room. And both teams going to now teleport out of spawn. And we'll be looking at St. John's as they make their way. It looks like they're going to stick onto it. William and Mary not going to get there in time. They're actually just going to be really late, and they're not going to get control of White Room, and they're going to have to try and battle their way in.
It's going to be very difficult. William and Mary already losing that footsie battle and losing the Junkrat battle. Fiscal now going to be the only Junkrat onto the field. Unique getting a little bit of damage done, but St. John's now has that damage advantage, can just continue to push forward here. We see Ratchet Knight continuing to set up the turret so the push can't get too aggressive from St. John's, but it's going to allow them the first capture.
Yeah, and that is the difference of just getting there that half second and earlier than your opponents, and now you can start steamrolling this. We have guessing a disconnect pause. Really, yeah, we're gonna have a disconnect pause here, so probably gonna be coming back to us just for a second here. But as St. John's pushing the agenda, going into that point there, and yeah, that is the difference. Half second, they get the early, they get turrets set up, and William Mary, all they can do is kind of watch from afar and kind of not do much more.
Yeah, a very unfortunate spot. I'm hearing that it's not a disconnect issue yet, Twin Salty. I'm hearing that it's sort of a technical issue coming in from one of the main tank players for William and Mary. So we're going to get that sorted off. We want the best competition to come through for these teams. Like I said, these teams looking very competitive based on the stats we saw before. We want to give them the opportunity to go to head-to-head. I know I certainly want to see both these teams as sharp as possible. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Those momentary, those brief 1-second abilities to get to point a little bit faster, to have your team just be a little bit more coordinated, so far going to be so crucial for the team that has them. And you can take any advantage over your opponents. It can give you a slight lead.
Yeah, and honestly, Will and Mary, both times they've tried to go in, they've lost one early to where, they just kind of have to back up. We saw it kind of when the game paused there. Again, maybe it's a little bit of an issue. Your main tank, I think it was at 11 FPS, they were saying. It's not a good thing for your shield to be having 11 FPS because this game, it goes way faster than that. But it also doesn't help when you're playing a 6v5 when you can eventually even get to the point.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to fight back, as we saw. Those early losses, whether it's the Reinhardt, whether it's the Junkrat that we're seeing come through, whenever you suffer that early loss, no matter who it is, you're immediately at that man disadvantage. And if you lose your Reinhardt, well, now you suddenly have no protection. If you lose your Junkrat, suddenly you have no damage to front load. And we're going to be getting back into it. St. John's still continuing to push back. William & Mary's seems to have had max disconnect, reconnect. They're going to be losing that ult charge, but if you're going to be having full frames, I say it might be worth it.
Oh yeah, definitely worth it. Now they can move up a full 6-on-6 with no technical problems. But both windows used early, and you just don't want to poke those, and that's why Unique is me poking from afar builds up the Riptire.
Junkrat Riptire can go in from so many different angles. Is exactly what we're going to see. It looks like they might be going down the previous main through server room, around back, but Fiscal able to make a direct impact right onto it, negating that tire. But so far, Jolt and Joe going to be getting a couple of kills in their own way. Fiscal still holding on to their tire, and William & Mary through perhaps one of their best resources to start.
Yeah, one of their best resources. They built it up, and a great shot from Fiscal takes it all away. And they have another reset. They have no ultimates coming this fight because of how rough these first two have went. And St. John's, they can just start rotating these. They're going to have Shatter from Jolt and Joe this fight, Riptire and Symbol coming up. So, St. John's, you're in the power position. Might as well abuse it, and especially when a Laundry gets taken out early. No immortality field for this tire, and it's going to be looking huge and doesn't even need to get anything, but, still gets 2 for some icing on the cake.
Yeah, I might wag my finger a little bit at the investment of the Proton Barrier there. Rich not going to be minding, though, as St. John's still sitting in a very dominant position. Only a couple more fights to go as well.
Yeah, honestly, you can set it up. They're going to set up the turrets, so they know exactly when they're pushing in, but you just got to play this smart if you're St. John's. If you do, it's going to be really hard for William & Mary to win this.
We continue to see them continue to swing away. It's going to be a barrier of their own, but Ratchet Knight going down. And then the Earth Shatter trying to catch anybody out from Jolt and Joe. Doesn't seem to do too much, but dissuade the opposition here. Sound Barrier to give the remaining members of William & Mary just a little bit more punch. But important to remember, nobody from St. John's has dropped yet in this fight. Fiscal dodging that Fire Strike means that this is not going to be doing too much damage towards that Junkrat, who might be the weakest target. Diva Bomb goes out, finally takes down the Junkrat, but it's at a very expensive cost. So far, very few members left remaining of William & Mary. That Reinhardt able to swing very aggressively. Ratchet Knight trying to crank up their weapon, but Rich cuts them down before it gets too high into charge. Diva soon going to be eject. The Lucio going to be following, and everybody from the side of St. John's is just working to keep themselves in this fight. William & Mary now having to do those straggler movements where they just try to get anybody on the point that they can twin.
Yeah, just getting anybody on. Right now it's Max. He'll be taken out, and that'll be it. But a good recontest coming out from William & Mary, just not enough in the long run. 100-0 first round. And yes, you could argue the first 2 fights were kind of like a 5v6 because Max had some FPS issues, but you still got to clutch it out at the end. And St. John's, once they got that ultimate economy going, it just continued to go on. And as we enter Night Market here for round 2, William & Mary just got to try and change the tide of how this fight's going to go. And I'm honestly surprised a little bit. We're not even seeing a sim teleport out of spawn or teleporting above point. Each team going to be going for something else.
And each team going for something else, looking different from their opposition here. We have that Reinhardt. We have the Wrecking Ball in comparison. We have a Dive with a Sigma versus a Reinhardt Diva composition. Quite a few different looks here. William & Mary do have that speed to get them there a little bit faster, though, at least with the exception of Jolt and Joe from St. John's. Wrecking Ball is going to be immediately on to point. Rich taking down that turret, and these two teams are going to be fighting in completely different ways. St. John's going to be looking for any of those stragglers, and William & Mary are going to be looking to play clustered up, preventing those fast-paced characters from getting any foot in the door. That Mercy dashing through the sky, but Slurpee not going to be taking too many hits there. Instead, just getting back into safety, into that natural cover. And William and Mary so far doing a good job of having this first point possession. And with Rival getting taken out of mech, that might weaken this composition just a little bit. Unique struggling to land the shots onto this Echo. Gets stuck by a cluster of bombs, but St. John's now starting to pick apart this opposition team, and they did a great job of not giving up that point. They stayed toes on up until the very last moment, and it worked out excellently for them.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about this composition, where it's kind of like a chaos comp where, as you said, they're kind of just looking for anybody to make a mistake and maybe go out in the open or position themselves in a poor spot where St. John's can just dive on immediately because they have such high mobility. And it's honestly, oh, Rich was looking at his own spawn door there for a little bit. But that is this advantage of this comp, and is now William Mary try and go around. They just gotta try and roll over everybody without losing a member.
Oh no!
And that doesn't happen.
Rich taking out the Casty with the flashbang as Echo. You don't see that very often at all, I would say. And a lot of deaths via the environment coming through here. Mr. Koala Man, I believe, must have gotten an accretion, courtesy of with a little help of Jolt and Joe.
Yeah, and I think at that point, William and Mary is like, all right, we just got to back up, reset. I personally would love to see them swap because it's just a compositional disadvantage for them. Because you're never going to have it to where, all right, with this death ball, we can just roll it into the other team. They're always going to be separate, and oh, this might be bad.
A pile driver into the mines, into the gravitic flux. That is going to look so brutal. And Unique tries to go for the Deadeye for that high noon, but gets nothing for it. 2 kills. The return from Nuke Llama is going to be about it. But still, for St. John's, that point keeps ticking up.
It keeps going, and that was a beautiful combo right there. Joel and Joe already 68% to the next minefield already as well. So they can build it up with this potentially final fight with one good pile drive here, and they're going to try and get environmental again. I'm not sure why Will and Barry continue to go that way with, you know, the edge right there, but they do get an opening pick.
They do take down Fiscal, and they get that point flipped, meaning St. John's not going to be building up that pressure in terms of those percentages. William Mary as well having a couple of ultimates online, and by that I mean just the one in the Earth Shatter. Going to see if they can land contact onto any of these fast mobile characters from St. John's. You might be best to look for that Zenyatta, maybe look for that Sigma when his shield's down. Jolt and Joe, however, being denied entry by Nuke Llama. Very good heads-up awareness by that Lucio, making sure that that Wrecking Ball can't get on the point. Going to be essential for not letting yourself get discombobulated and torn asunder. We continue to see here now, it's going to be the duplicate coming out. Rich, going to be throwing down a little bit of damage, looking for that Deadeye. Gets booped around twice off the map. That Echo, of course, can't save herself if she can't fly. It's going to be the pulse bomb going out from Fiscal, taking down Unique, and William and Mary are hanging on by a thread. Nuke Llama taking down the main support from St. John's. However, no healing available now for St. John's.
Is the pile drive comes through, able to get one. Koala's able to get a second with the grab, and overtime ticker starts going down. Unique's going to try and touch, going to get flashed. Not able to, though, as he gets punched by Joel and Joe. St. John's, they come out swinging early, 2-0 on Lijiang Tower. What a start for them. As play of the game here, Joel and Joe with the Wrecking Ball. This might be that Gravitic Flux and Minefield combo. It is. Here you go. The target prioritization gets the Immortality Field out right away, and he just builds up another ult so fast because he gets the 2 environmentals right there.
Wow.
You go from having ult to using it to back to 64%. That is what you call efficiency. And what a map from St. John's.
Yeah, so far St. John's looking very well off to start. I mean, things are gonna be hard to overcome if you're a very momentum-based mindset team when it comes to William and Mary, but you still have that opportunity, as we talked about a little bit before. Hollywood gonna be our next option, and St. John's, even though they preferred a little bit more of that fast pace, that very rapid sort of attack style, I'm not sure that that's necessarily going to play out for them in the same way, to the same level of efficiency on Hollywood, particularly that first point. Maybe you try to stretch it out on second, but even then I think first is going to be where William and Mary can make the most ground.
Yeah, especially, you know, if they can run these double shield comps, or granted, we haven't really seen either team run it so far because Lijiang's not really a map you see them very often. But if William and Mary can maybe set one up, I think they could hold first for a good amount of time. But I think it gets scary if you're William and Mary on your defense. Once St. John's gets the second phase if they do, because that is when the comp they just ran is going to roll over everything if you don't know how to counter it, because there's so much open space, and the DPS and the Wrecking Ball can just do as much work as they want to do. But you just got to set the tempo, as you said. If they're a momentum mindset team, they just need to reset right now, because it was a rough map one, but you're 7-2 for a reason. You know what I mean? You got to have that mindset. We deserve to be as high as up we are. We just got to bounce back.
It's all about having that winner mentality, that attitude that says, this is where we are. We're going to win. This may have just been a hiccup. This may just be our warm-up. I mean, to give William and Mary the benefit of the doubt, we don't know how much they were playing before this. We don't know how much St. John's was playing before this. Who knows which team is more efficient at those control maps. You can always make these kind of reasonings to yourself as to why, this next map is going to be different. And that's truly what I'm hoping to see here. I am hearing that the teams are going to be getting into lobby here in just a second, Twin Salty. But I want to pose this question real quick before we get too far into it. If you're William and Mary, and you know that St. John's might be a threat on that same comp, how do you mitigate the damage they can do on it?
I think you gotta not try and rush a 6-man comp that you were with the Ryan, just because the Reinhardt, who is he gonna swing at? Like, maybe you can get a swing off on the Wrecking Ball coming in, maybe if the Sigma pushes up too far, but he's just not gonna be able to do anything. You need to either match him on a dive and be like double bubble, maybe match the Wrecking Ball yourselves, or you need to make sure you have enough CC to try and deal with it, especially with, the Tracer involved, the Wrecking Ball, the Echo even. So as they're heading out to get ready on their defense, they're going to be running the same exact thing they ended Lijiang Night Market on. St. John's going to be looking at a pretty similar lineup. They're going for that double bubble, so maybe adjusting a little bit to what we said, what they couldn't maybe run on this map, what they ran last map. This time, a little bit more of like a rush comp-ish. It has the elements of it with Jolton Joe and that Winston, but I still think William Mary, they need to shut down Rich, and they need to shut down Fiscal. If they can do that, I think they can handle up front.
It's going to be very interesting to see how William and Mary copes with this. Rachel Knight on that Torbjorn, I like this a little bit more. You can put that turret on the high ground. You can have it peck away at that Echo in the sky. You can also prevent that Torbjorn from getting dove as easily by the Winston, although it looks like St. John's just not necessarily having a tough time getting up onto this high ground, using that Winston cleave damage to just do a bunch of damage. But Nuklama continuing to be a little bit of a space enforcer here, making sure that nobody gets this space for free, or at least unbothered. Dynamite is going to be going in, and Jolton Joe immediately has to turn back to face the opposition by quite a bit. Max, however, also doing the same. He gets to eat a nice anti-nade coming through here, but it's going to be the first kills going in from William and Mary. Unique on this Cassidy, rather, looking to cut off anybody from St. John's making a bad rotation, and William and Mary are going to come out positive for it, minus Rival losing their mech.
Yeah, and I was worrying a little bit for William and Mary, just because Jolton Joe is playing the distraction game, trying to allow Rich to build up duplicate, but they end up actually overextending and not getting out. I think that might happen again here as the window goes down. Oh, they do actually get out, just barely, and now they can reset. But Unique now has the Deadeye online.
Fortunately enough, if you're St. John's, you have the opportunity to just wait out those abilities, that amplification matrix. Unique going to be using that Deadeye to go into the sky and take down that Echo. So close to getting the duplicate. If they don't end up coming in with this fight, it's going to be really costly for St. John's. Jolton Joe not denying the res, the res going on to Rich is going to come through. St. John's now cleaning up in a very nice fashion. That Echo eventually getting cleaned up and picks back up.
Yeah, eventually just the give and take game for St. John's works out for them, and they can already start establishing position at the beginning of the Streets phase. And now this is where this comp is going to be pretty advantageous. If we do get to third, William and Mary, then they go back to the advantage. But for right now, with Bob coming through, duplicate as well, they're going to make sure they win this opening fight so they can gain high ground control. The Shatter hits a barricade, but it's the thought that counts.
It's the flex of hitting the Shatter, 3 seconds into your duplicate and then pushing your opponents back. And then after this, you immediately get to go into the sky, get a little bit of escape, and not feel too pressured by the remaining members of William and Mary. Again, we talked about that high ground positioning being so strong for a team like St. John's.
Yeah, now they can hold that high ground, like you said, and especially when you have Fiscal on the Ash with that Mercy pocket potentially, if Slurpee chooses to be pocketing them or Rich, either one can pump on just crazy amounts of damage that Will and Mary are going to have a tough time to deal with. But
Oh no!
They just focus on frontline.
And Rage Knight actually getting taken dangerously low, gets healed by the rest of their team. Nuclear throwing down the sound barrier just to keep their team alive, and so far all that's going to net them is a kill onto the Mercy, now onto Fiscal as well. And Mary going to start to be putting the brakes onto this cart, and now they're in a position where St. John's has to try to put some pressure on the cart. That might be a little bit more tough with this dive composition.
Yeah, it might be a lot more tough to try and deal with. Gonna try and go up. And maybe gets a little bit lucky. The window goes down, trying to get the Mercy. Not able to quite yet. Did I? Gets one.
Oh.
Finishes off the fight for Unique, and they've actually rebounded on this phase of the map a lot better than what I thought, but credit to them. And now they continue to rotate these ults. You got Diva Bomb coming up, Shatter from Max, Molten Core coming out as well. St. John's, you gotta be scratching your head a little bit now as Koala Man. Now we're going to the Diva, so a little bit more of a 6-man, almost like a zombie comp without the right DPS or support. So I guess Old Man Dive at that point. As they go around back and they leave, they're on a wide open for a Shatter.
And this is exactly what William and Mary want to be doing. They're using a lot of ultimates to zone things off, make it so much more comfortable for St. John's to commit to that plan once they've actually started diving in. Although St. John's Rich still going to be taking away at this Diva, Rival going out once again, but that might just be a Pyrrhic victory for this Echo player, eventually taken out of the sky. William and Mary not quite done here, but they do invest quite a few ultimates into it.
Yeah, and Rival's like, okay, you can de-mech me all you want, that's cool. I still can get you when I'm outside of mech, and granted, it's going to take a little bit longer for Rival to jump back into that, but still a good start for them, and now St. John's, they're going to match the rush, not going to be going for the dive anymore. Going to try and beat them on the low ground.
That Bob going to be going face first right into Rival, but taking down that amplification matrix coming through in a big way for that. The Earth Shatter and Rich getting a double kill with the Fire Strike. Rich with the duplicate. They didn't just get one Reinhardt, they got two in this fight.
They got two, and the Shatter was absolutely huge. I honestly couldn't tell if he was from Rich or from Jolton Joe. I believe he was from Rich. And now they can finally get this cart going again. It's been taking them a few minutes to get it past that first holding point of this map. And now they can start getting ready for this potentially final fight of this B phase. As William Mary not going to let him get around this corner too far.
It's going to be Unique throwing in that Deadeye, just trying to zone out, making sure that that Echo stays in check. Shots ring out, don't really connect with anything, but now the amplification matrix threatens Unique and has to back away rather quickly, although just like they were able to do against William and Mary, now William and Mary are able to just play this corner, not fight within that line of sight of the amplification matrix. Rach and I are going to be throwing in a Molten Core, trying to just zone out the cart a little bit more, but there's so many different routes that St. John's can take, include catching this Cassie off guard in that small enclosure. Fiscal going to be taken down by a little bit of errant magma, as now William and Mary continue to seem to stabilize. They are going to have a faster respawn than they did at the very beginning of this phase.
And now St. John's is going to be bringing out some DPS swaps. Fiscal now going to go onto the Cassidy, Rich over to the Hanzo. You wonder if it's a little bit too late, as now you're not having any ult charge this fight unless one of them can absolutely pop off and build a quick ult. You're going to have your tank ults. Diva Bomb's going to be going over the top. Shatter is going to go down. Oh, it gets blocked by the garbage can.
That was so unfortunate. Liam Lizard Dog gonna have their immortality field taken away as Rival tries to send an a self-destruct out there. Max, I think, trying to hit people through the wall.
You're crouching, maybe?
Your melee doesn't extend that far, my friends. But either way, William and Mary, it's Twin Salty. I don't mind eating my words here. They held a lot better in second and a lot worse in first, admittedly, than I think either of us had them pinned for.
Yeah, they played the Uno reverse card on us. Like, all right, we're not going to have a great hold on first, but where you think we're not going to be able to hold as well, that is where we're going to shine. And they basically just need to finish the second phase if they want to even up the series at one apiece. And this is how good teams rebound. You know, they got admittedly punched in the mouth on Li Jiang. They did not look great, but this time around, they looked a lot better. They made the necessary adjustments, but they didn't over adjust as well. They're like, all right, we're sticking to our comp. Even when I said they should probably swap, they stick it on, and they proved me wrong in that degree. And now they can set up for this offense. They're going to be going almost something we see out of some of the Asia competitions right now with the Wrecking Ball and Rival on the Zarya.
Interesting ball and bubble methodology coming through here. I'm also very pleased to see that William and Mary are shifting their DPS selections so far. Rachel Knight on this Hanzo, I like that a lot better than the Torbjorn when you're talking about that attack. As well, St. John's might be demoralized enough for you to anticipate that they don't want to run that Winston. They don't want to run those super vulnerable dives into your face anymore. So you might have the opportunity to run something, might do a little bit more comparable against some harder shields.
Yeah, it might be a little bit easier. And I don't think St. John's is going to see this coming. And okay, so Sonar is gonna go out. Unique is gonna be looking to see what they're running. And now they're gonna make adjustments in spawn. What are they gonna? Okay, they're gonna swap to the rush. You're boring, William and Mary. You know, I admit that's pretty clever right there. So you don't have a full fight where you give them ult charge. You can just go in now and know exactly what they're running, and now can make your way through choke.
And that's the advantage of being on that attack. You get to change very quickly. You get to kind of set the timing of those fights. And if you're on the defense, you don't have that as a given to you. Fiscal going to be landing some nice headshots off the back end of that flash, and Max going to be taken down. But so is Jolt and Joe, so now both teams at a loss for their main tank. St. John's, however, has that ability to play behind natural cover a little bit more. William and Mary have to back it all the way back up to the choke point. Fiscal going to be catching that Hanzo out. Unique taken out of this fight. Well, more so accurately by Rich themselves, landing a couple storm arrows into the body. And now William and Mary going to be backing up, reevaluating if this is what they want to do. But I still don't know if this Torbjorn's the right look.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if the Torb is the right look either. As like you're on attack and you're running the Torb, yes, it can work sometimes. I'm not saying it doesn't, but you really got to play around it well. And well, a fire strike helps, but Torb's gonna take it out as well. But advantage St. John, advantage William and Mary, I should say.
Dragons have gone out for St. John's. That means that William and Mary now going to be holding the Dragons in their hand. They're going to be sending them out. They know that that Immortality Field's not going to be as big a player, and Unique gets 3 off the back end of it. An excellent delay in that ultimate there. It's all going to be down to the Sigma and the Hanzo to try to stall out as much as possible, but Rich can only do so much with some bows and arrows. Rival even landing the last bullet into them.
What a dragon.
Yeah.
From Unique, as got the communication from their tanks up front from Max and Rival, like, all right, you know, they're going to be rotating to the backside of point, closer to Mega. And he's like, all right, sends dragons through and gets 3. And you don't see that very often without, like, a grab assist or something like that. So what a play from them. And now they can continue pushing this forward just over 4 minutes to get now about 90 meters to even up this series. And, you know, they don't have a ton of ults right now. And Rival is still out of Max. They're playing a little bit passive for now. But if Max can hit this shatter, that's going to put St. John's in a real pickle.
We see that Deadeye coming out from Fiscal, but Unique taking advantage of the fact that the Cassidy is basically stun locked by their own ultimate. Gonna be getting the kill there. Pin trying to go in from Jolt and Joe, but doesn't take down Max. Max returning fire with an Earth Shatter of their own. Slurpee caught out, gets taken down by Unique, and right now these Hanzo's doing a lot of work for their team, and it's gonna be so far William and Mary who seem to have a slight advantage here. Mr. Koala Man going to be using that kinetic grasp, getting themselves a little bit more life, but while that happens, the cart continues to make a little bit more progress.
Yeah, and Devon's going to come out, I think, maybe just to get rematched. His Rival actually gets one from it as well. But the unsung hero of that fight is Nuke Llama. Boops away Jolt and Joe, and he's trying to push in to get value out of that grab, and now the staggers are coming through. St. John's is not going to have a full 6 for this final fight.
William and Mary continue to push up, and they are only a few meters away, and such the huge zoning ultimates coming through here. The Dragons, the Molten Core, Jolt and Joe taken down just by having to contest that point. Unique going to be going over the top turnbuckle, trying to land the shots into the Baptiste. Doesn't matter, as William and Mary are going to be coming out to bear here on Hollywood.
Yeah, what a bounce back from William and Mary. You looked rough on Lijiang Tower, and you come out on Hollywood absolutely swinging. And you get a fantastic map 2 win. Here's the shatter. So it was from Rich. There it goes. Knocks, I think, 3 or 4 on the ground, 2 with the fire strike. Great play from them, but does not get the map result. As William and Mary even this up. A great bounce back from them. And man, so we got a series now. I didn't know if we were going to have one after map 1, but we got a series.
We do. It seems like William and Mary suffering a little bit from those tech issues on Lijiang, but they've come back with full force, which means Now, not only we're going to see Volskaya on the other end of this break, we will be seeing Route 66 as well immediately with that. But folks, we are going to be taking a quick break. Let these teams evaluate each other, give them the moments to analyze their strategies. We will be right back, so stick around. Now, see, folks, I told you it would be a quick break, and quick it indeed was. We are already back, Sir Waltham Twin Salty, back for the continuation of William and Mary versus St. John's. Twin Salty, we've seen some excellent maps so far.
It's been some excellent maps as we're gonna kind of show off a little bit of what we've already had today. The 2-0 on Lijiang Tower coming from St. John's, and the 2-1 victory from William and Mary on Hollywood. And as we look ahead to Volskaya, it's been a little bit of a ping pong match so far. St. John's, they look extremely good map 1, not as great map 2, vice versa for William and Mary. So I wonder if we're finally going to get both of these teams looking at their top strength, or if it's going to be, one of these teams establishing like, okay, we had a little bit of an off moment in the map we lost. We are now here to play.
It's very interesting. We know that these teams, like you said, are doing that ping pong strat, but normally when you talk about that ping pong strat, it's usually in the context of, oh, well, our team lost, so we can pick a map we're strong at that we know we'll win. That's not the case here. We already know the map order. We already know the map sets. So it's no longer about which team can pick the map that's best for them. We're seeing these teams trade blow for blows in predetermined maps, and that to me is what is really thrilling here, as we do look towards that Volskaya once again decided for these teams.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge map, and I think it benefits both of these teams so much. And it's going to be a real battle, I think, of compositions and positioning more than anything else, because both of these teams can take advantage of, some of the map design choices, per se, in this map. And St. John's going to be on the defense this time around first. So we'll have to see what they're looking at here. And maybe you're going to be running almost like kind of a version of the Chaos comp they ran on Lijiang Night Market, with Koala Man on the Sigma and Jolton Joe on that Wrecking Ball.
And we do see William and Mary currently hovering unique on that Sombra once again. This isn't, 21 seasons ago where Sombra was really dominant on Volskaya because of her hackability for those health kits. No, I imagine William and Mary instead just going to be using that for a little bit of recon. That's what we've seen before. Rachel Knight as well has those sonar arrows to get unique, at least nestled near to point. We're going to see when these doors open up, however.
Yeah, I'm guessing it'll be exactly what we kind of saw on Hollywood, where they're going to, you're going to have unique, go out, scout, maybe a sonar arrow from Ratchet Knight to come out. And here we go. Here come the swaps. It'll be Ratchet Knight over to the Soldier, unique onto the Hanzo. And they're going to be going to the Brig Zen. And I like that it is a little bit more pokey, and they're going to be really deciding on who their targets are. And St. John's, they're just going to have to rotate pretty well.
This entire team composition seems very glass cannony. Of course, those supports very vulnerable. That Zenyatta very low, has to have nuke pretty much peel for them, but also no shielding coming through from William and Mary. It's pretty much going to be the defense matrix as the only damage mitigation you're going to see come through here, and Rich already finding huge success with it as they just take shots from on high. And now Rachel Knight not exactly making the rotation with the rest of their team, now kind of caught in the ether here. Has to start pecking away at Jolton Joe, but putting down a good berth of damage. Continue to see William and Mary taking this slow rotation, and now Rich slowly going to be rotating towards that Soldier 76. Going to be making a narrow escape. Rachel Knight eventually going to be regrouped with their team. Unique eating an accretion, and Rich taking down Rachel Knight eventually. It's going to be William and Mary now suffering a lot of time being burned off this clock for a first push that so far isn't working out in their favor.
Yeah, it's a lot of time off the clock, and they just haven't made any ground up to this point. They went to their left side, went around, and now they have, it's just going to be Rival kind of stuck in no man's lane. Luckily, they have the Jets to get out here in a second. I didn't know they're going to wait for Jolton Joe to come out, try and protect their Brig, but they haven't really been able to do anything. St. John's already has the Bob up and ready. Window coming soon as well from Liam Lizard, so you get a bit worried now for William and Mary. That's a great flick from Rich, and you're already halfway down your time bank for William and Mary, and you really haven't made that much progress.
I'd go so far as to say, aside from ults, you haven't made any progress. It's going to be the pile driver coming in from Jolton Joe, who's been working so well with Rich to really position those DPS or those soft targets out of cover. We saw it happen just there with Rachel Knight and Unique, the Hanzo Soldier, both getting lit up by the dynamite, then pushed out of cover by Jolton Joe. Rich going for it once again. Bob still on the table. Looks like Unique might be taking a little bit of burn. Alondri dangerously low on that Zenyatta. Rich still just being an absolute master on this high ground. That Wrecking Ball getting caught out a bit too heady. That accretion is going to be there. Koala Man can take them down. The mines as well. William and Mary really dropping the ball on this push.
Yeah, they just keep trying to go around in this wide angle, and they keep getting stuck. They don't know what to do once they get there, and Mr. Quellman gonna hit the accretion onto the opposing Zenyatta to take them out. We have a minute left. William and Mary. Unique has made, it's almost been like they've been playing Mystery Heroes. They've been swapping on so many different characters. Now they're back on the Hanzo at 43% ult charge. I wouldn't be surprised if they never got an ultimate this round, is just because they've been swapping so much. And the boomer bust strategy for William and Mary so far just not really working out for him.
Unique looking like they're trying to get up onto that high ground. And I like seeing the change up in strategy of positioning from William and Mary, but St. John's just has Rich on too hard of a point right now. Taking down a Laundry means that no damage amplification can come out for William and Mary. That Discord not going to be able to provide its benefit until that Zenyatta makes the long walk back. But even then, guess what? I bet you Rich will be keeping eyes out for it. Rach and I are going to be trying to focus down Jolt and Joe on that Wrecking Ball, not getting too much for it. Has the Tac Visor, though. Might try to initiate with it this fight, and a lost opportunity here, perhaps. There was an opportunity to use those mines to your advantage, start putting some early pressure onto point when they can't take that high ground without stepping into them or taking the time to dig out. Rival throwing in the self-destruct, doesn't find anything. Both soldiers going to be using that Tac Visor, but it's the amplification matrix coming through for Fiscal that really helps them out. But a Laundry on the wraparound takes down the soldier, but it doesn't matter. William and Mary get no progress onto the point.
They don't even touch at the very end, and it is a rough retribution for William and Mary as you go from the high of playing extremely well on Hollywood to not even getting any percent. I don't think they even got any temporary percent on that point. And that is a rough round if you William and Mary, having the mindset of, all right, the best we can do is draw. It is not the greatest mood, I bet, in the comms right now, but you never know. They held them for that long at 0%. William and Mary can definitely do the same, but it is a rough reality check to them. Like, all right, maybe we should have changed something up a little bit quicker. But you still got plenty of this series to go, and you still have a chance on this map.
You still do, yeah, at least have a chance to tie here. Of course, you're not, if you're William and Mary, going to be taking away the victory on this map, but there is still potential for that map 5 to be forced out. Of course, they just have to have a very perfect performance here, and I think that I talked a lot about Rach and I not necessarily wanting to go on that Torbjorn. I think this is a map where you might be able to get it done if you choose into that play style. But with that Soldier and Tracer coming through, it's going to be a little bit more of a fast-paced DPS comp instead of that sturdy, very defensible type coming through. And St. John's going to be going to the well that we've seen them go to time and time again with that double bubble coming through. See them slowly passing by Unique, who might be looking for those opening opportunities here onto that Widowmaker, onto that Ashe, onto the Mercy, ideally. Unique, again, just holding this corner, waiting for them to expose themselves just a little bit more. Sees the Zarya fire coming through, and may have waited a bit too long. Sees the Mercy, however. Doesn't see anybody else. Might spend a little bit too much time scouting here. Again, pressure put onto the point by St. John's means that somebody from William and Mary has to touch. The tank's already taking a walloping. Supports nicely peeling for each other. Slurpee healing up Liam Lizard as Liam Lizard is fending off this Tracer. And so far, the tactics don't seem to be working from William and Mary. St. John's already taken down 3, and just like that, very few people left to contest. Rach Knight throwing themselves onto point. Rich not even really having to throw too much damage down with this Widowmaker. Again, I think the Tracer was just a little bit too optimistic and a little bit too mistimed.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Once they saw the honor, they're like, all right, we can try and get Liam Lizard G and, try and pick up an early support and make the Mercy maybe come back and res. It just didn't work. And by the time, the peel happened, William and Mary were already letting St. John's kind of walk onto point a little bit. And from there, it's once St. John's got point control, they weren't going to let it go. It's just not what their comm does. So, yeah, it looks like we're going the ping pong route, maybe, as St. John's. Wow, that was the Li Jiang St. John's. That was not the Hollywood St. John's. And William Mary, now you got to try and think of something as you get ready to play Route 66, which I would say maybe except for third phase, it does favor what St. John's has been wanting to run the entire day, which is like that chaos comp and anything like that. And that is, we were getting told an EGF record for the season on that map, 5:11 total time. That is not a record William and Mary want to be associated with. St. John's, I bet, though, is pretty happy about it.
Be associated with, just not on the sore end of it. That is, you don't want to be the team that lost a point on the fastest run back. But either way, St. John's going to be happy with the victory here. And William and Mary, I'm not sure what the disconnect is here, because we've seen them have some really good opportunities, particularly, I would say almost exclusively on that Hollywood map, but it doesn't seem to be transitioning over to these other maps. Salty, what do you think the issue is here, more macro view?
I think from a macro view, it's just some of the rotations maybe seem like ever so slightly off. Especially there, it's like, all right, they were trying to push through. Alondra gets taken out. They sit in there for what, 20, like 5 or 10 seconds till St. John realized, like, yo, let's just push them. We can take more time off the clock, and they have nowhere to go. And the rotations just seemed really weird, in my opinion. And you can't be leaving someone out in the open for a sniper to get a headshot when we're entering Route 66, where I would not be surprised if we saw that Ash come out to play again. We saw the Wrecking Ball or maybe a Hanzo come out as well from St. John's. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it. So if you are William and Mary, you need to either match them in your DPS, making sure they can at least, at a minimum, challenge them and make sure they have a respect for you so they take different angles, or you have to play just smarter in how you rotate.
And it's interesting that you mentioned those kind of angles of attack. I think for William and Mary, when we saw them on Hollywood, it worked out a lot better for them when there was only one primary method of entry. Like on that streets phase, you can only realistically either go down the street or through the bar, and they both exit right about the same area. But when you talk about Volskaya, there's so many ways you can attack on Volskaya. William and Mary seem to have analysis paralysis looking back at it. They don't know exactly what they want to do, too many options. They don't have as many of those options refined. I wonder if that works in their favor a little bit more here on 66, because I think, especially looking at this second point, it kind of mimics a Hollywood in a little bit, in that you can just still go through that building and kind of meet right back to where the main road goes. And the first point doesn't necessarily have a flow of different routes of attack either.
Yeah, it really doesn't. As I want to point something out, If You Stay has subbed in for St. John's. A little curious because the DPS duo was doing quite well. Maybe it's something they want to tease out. I know they played a little bit last week in their 3-1 win. But it's an interesting pick. They are very much a Genji specialist. They also showed some Hanzo and some Soldier as well. So maybe some Nano Blades are on the card for the first time, and I think in a while for EGF at least, as Rich going to be looking for some snipes opening out here, but William and Mary giving them their respect. Like, all right, we know they're a good DPS. We cannot be peeking that.
I wonder, in the back of my mind, this is a confidence play coming in from St. John's. They know that they have that advantage, and they know that they can lean on that a little bit. But so far, Jolton Joe certainly not going to be having their confidence in full form after taking that walloping. They don't quite lose their life, but they take a face full of damage. And Rage Knight, exactly, once again, with this Torbjorn, going to be very resistant to that dive should it come through, but you still have to throw down quite a bit of damage. This card's going to be making its way around the first turn, and nobody really dropping for either side, but more essentially nobody dropping from William and Mary, who would have an incredibly long walk back. If You Stay trying to go back, buckle for that health pack, but doesn't quite connect. It wasn't on respawn, rather. Rich got it very far forward for a Widowmaker playing in this point of the map, and you have to wonder, how exactly do you cope with these angles if you're that Widowmaker? You're going to be running into a Reinhardt shield. You're going to be running into the D.Va. It's going to be very difficult.
It's going to be very difficult as the window comes out as well, and that's what's going to make St. John's to back up again. A minute gone. Yes, they've gotten the cart to the corner, but Rich really hasn't been able to get much done. If You Stay, honestly, not been able to do very much at all with the Torb turret going on. Get some nice deflect damage there, though, and makes the backline retreat a little bit. And maybe that opens the door for the rest of the team to move in.
Important, worth noting, Liam actually commits that nano boost onto Jolton Joe, who doesn't even really buy that much time with it. Usually we see the nano boost onto the Winston feathered into that primal rage to buy a little bit of time, but St. John's don't really get much for it. They're just going to throw away the primal rage instead of keeping it for next fight.
Yeah, at this point, it's like, all right, we need to change something up. They're going to be showing the comp we thought we were going to get on Hollywood, which is Jolt and Joe on that Wrecking Ball with Mr. Koala Man on the Zarya. Rich now over on the Tracer. So very much a chaos comp. Can be trying to dive that back line. Making some more space for If You Stay to try and build up that blade. With leave the door for a shatter go down. And Slurpee take it out so quickly. But here comes Blade.
Oh, that is so brutal. Laundry does not have that immortality field, or rather can't get it down in time. But If You Stay taken down by the flashbang, so not quite out of the question for William and Mary. They throw in the self-destruct, but Unique trying their best to deadlift on this Cassidy. Slightly landing shots, going to be taking down Jolt and Joe, but pushed back by the remaining DPS for St. John's. And St. John's going to be starting to get some cart progress. The question is who touches for William and Mary?
Yeah, that's a huge fight for St. John's as well. You only use 2 ults, you force out 4 from William and Mary, and they still lose the fight. And now you can come back, almost got Minefield up. Jolt and Joe's going to try and build it. Now is going to be getting just a face full of shield for now.
It's the amplification matrix coming out. Rich taken down. Unique always catches you off guard when you never expect it. St. John's only a minute left. They're so far looking to stay in this fight. They're going to be dropping the Minefield, as a matter of fact. That bubble coming in to save that Wrecking Ball for just a moment, using those adaptive shields, keeping themselves alive. The pin going on to the Brigitte means that rally is going to be taken off the field. High Noon, Deadeye is going to be in effect should they decide to use it, but so far, William and Mary surviving this fight, but nobody touched. They got the first cap.
They get the first cap. That all that matters in William and Mary. It's the C9 from them, and now they just got to retreat. Even though you have the numbers advantage, you cannot hold that close. You're gonna have to at least back up towards the second archway. That is maybe a costly mistake. Let's see if it turns into something more later on, as If You Stay building up the...
Oh, that was an attempted dash coming in from If You Stay, but not going to be netting them too much. A little bit of a nap time coming through from one of the members of William and Mary. Going to be waking up in short order, however. The doors have closed, so now you've restricted the movement that can happen for your opponents for St. John's.
Yeah, gonna just hold close. It does help them, honestly, to hold close, because it allows St. John's less opportunities to try and catch somebody in the back. Everybody's being clumped up on this point. They know they can't go anywhere. Going to try and force out immortality, so If You Stay can use this blade.
If You Stay going to have a very tough time, but it's going to be the Dragon Blade coming out, but the sound barrier coming in, and If You Stay dies on top of it. A lot of resources being committed, but William and Mary managed to withstand what was perhaps the biggest threat to them. So far, despite the fact that the cart has made its way through the first checkpoint, we're not going to be seeing it make too much progress off of that. William and Mary doing an excellent job coping with that.
Yeah, they are, and now they're still stuck in this side room.
No.
What an anti-nade from Liam Lizard, and that'll be opening the door for St. John's to at least get this car moving, as it just instantly takes out Ratchet and Max, and the cleanup is there. This time, If You Stay able to get some value, Mr. Koala Man gets 2 as well. That is how you set up a fight when they're all clumped up like that. If they miss blocking the anti-nade, it just gets so much value, and finally St. John's can get moving again.
St. John's will have that nano blade, or excuse me, the nano boost online If You Stay. Still about a quarter of the way to their blade. It's going to be the mines coming in immediately from Jolt and Joe's, looking to put a lot of hurt onto this team. They catch out Nuklama, rival as well, very quick to going down. Going to be that one shuriken or maybe a mine that takes them down eventually. Rage Knight actually throwing in the Molten Core, but not able to find anything for it. And it looks like William and Mary actually kind of bungled up this defense. They were so close to holding it on first, but now second slipping through their hands as well.
Yeah, and they're not going to be able to touch this point. Add the time back on that clock. 2 minutes now for this final phase. And yes, it is to the benefit of William and Mary. It does favor them a little bit more in this closed quarters. But Nano Blade's on the cards, and you do not have Sound Barrier. They can draw Immortality Field. It can be very dangerous.
We see that pile driver go in, doesn't catch anybody off guard, but with that Cassidy going down, Unique no longer has the stopping power to cut down If You Stay. Should that Nano Boost, Nano Blade be coming through, eventually will be ferried back to point. But right now, William and Mary are having to pay a lot of respect, and that means giving up a lot of cart progress, something that they're not going to be happy with on their attack. Bob going to be buying only further more space. Deadeye coming through, kept alive by that immortality field. Nuklama eventually cutting down, but with the flashbang going out, if you stay, not going to be able to be stopped here as the blade continues to slice, dice, and everything in between. 10-player kill streak coming up for If You Stay, chasing down that Torbjorn, making it an 11.
Yeah, he's making a William and Mary salad up on this cart right now. He gets a few with the blade going up. Yes, they're under a minute, but it does not matter as much for a map like Route 66. And now here comes the stall from William and Mary.
Have to be any sort of stall that can happen. We're already seeing those very fast DPS. Jolton Joe barely able to get a health pack, and everybody's zoned out from William and Mary. They have to be very careful not to let go of that cart touch once again. Mr. Koala Man taken out. Rich now taken out. St. John slowly starting to lose members. Jolton Joe trying their best. Slurpee, however, not getting focused down at all. It's all going on to that tank, and Jolton Joe able to get away with a couple kills away for it, as well as If You Stay gets bowled out of the building.
Yeah, he gets just absolutely slammed, and now he will be sent back to spawn manually. And Mr. Koala Man now gonna go on to the Hog, even though I think they were maybe trying to match Rival who was on the Hog, but now they swapped over to the Diva. So a little bit of Hog ball play, which we do, to be fair, I think it's the first time I've seen it in EGF. And now Bobby just gets sent in, force out some abilities, and also able to take out Rival.
Oh, but Unique backs up just enough to get those dragons out, throws them right onto Cart, but doesn't bisect Cart quite well enough. People still able to contest it. It looks like that might have been the death cry for William and Mary. The pile driver trying to come in from Max, but gets booted off Cart in their own right. If You Stay now has a Nano Blade out and online, throwing away the slices once again. Not going to be as effective this time, but it's hard to get more kills in an already existent graveyard.
Yeah, it's the graveyard just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Unique not able to touch, but he'll get eventually added once the round's over. St. John's was not pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but they finish. And that is all that matters in the end of the day. Guaranteed in overtime if William and Mary do finish and do complete this map. But this is kind of what we've been waiting for. Like, both teams having moments of excellence, but also having a few moments of mistakes. And now for St. John's, can you fix a little bit of those that you had on the offensive end for the defensive side?
I mean, you have to hope so. And I want to make a statement here, Twin, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree with it. But I feel like these games have been decided by William and Mary, whether they're playing really well or whether they're making just a few too many mistakes that St. John's able to pick up on. Because, I mean, it feels like Hollywood was definitely set by them having a really solid defense. And in Lijiang and Volskaya, it felt like they were the ones making a lot of the mistakes that allowed their opponents to capitalize on them.
I would definitely agree with that. And, you know, at the end there, it's just like, and some of these are like, all right, you know, we're using too many ultimates for a fight. You know, we don't touch point. This could be a completely different map if they continue to contest point on their defense of this first phase. So they're hitting themselves a little bit in some of these. And now when they're, I'm not sure. Okay, so they do some off it. I was a little confused. They were running the Lucio Moira for a minute. Granted, I think they're scouting out again from Unique on that Sombra. Here we go. Now I'm going to go into the Hanzo, and you have the swaps. Everybody's still sitting in spawn. Okay, now we're going to go into the Huge with the Zenyatta and the Brig together, rival over onto that Sigma. But it is a little bit of something that they're going to have to play smartly, because this double shield, especially on top of gas here, very hard to break through if you were not coordinated on who's diving in.
Also be very happy if we saw Max make a hero play, kind of knock a couple people off that high ground, discombobulate the entire cluster that St. John's really likes to play in. Granted, you'd be mostly doing that to the tanks. Everybody else has methods of getting back up onto that building, but Unique immediately taking down Liam Lizard. You might not have to dislocate if you can just go for the kills, but Slurpee going to take advantage of the res that Mercy does have in pocket. Rich using that coach gun to get themselves up, taking a little bit of damage, and Max doing exactly what I praised them for potentially having the opportunity to do, trying to get those discombobulations up onto that high ground. So far, not a lot of cart contesting being done here, but William and Mary throwing down their own, forcing down these cooldowns, the immortalities, the resurrects, and now getting the boops also onto that soldier, or excuse me, onto the Hanzo, onto the Baptiste. William and Mary really setting themselves up for a successful first point here. That Mercy getting taken down as well. St. John's really has their work cut out for them.
Yeah, William and Mary now really able to go through. Is finally Max for the win, able to push it and get that good pile drive in, knock a few members off. And the big one there was getting Liam Lizard G off of that high ground. You take out a lot of the main healing for the St. John's team. They're going to make some swaps already. DPS lineup going to be completely changed. Going to be matching that soldier. And if you stay going on to the Cassidy to try and have that flashbang for Max. And Slurpee over to the Bray to try and do with Max as well. You can tell who they're not a huge fan of on this William and Mary side, as they're really trying to counter that Wrecking Ball. But if they can try and hold high ground and not get booped away, William and Mary got to do some pretty good shield breaking or a good dragon.
Oh, and that Orisa is going to be taken a little bit low. Jolton Joe, however, has the rest of their team to keep them up, but that doesn't matter when you have those storm arrows firing at, 3 arrows a second? Rival going to be cleaning up with Jolton Joe up there, and now William and Mary in a very good spot. Nuklama going to be throwing in the Valk as well, helping bolster those reinforcements to really push back St. John's, who are now on recovery period, but unlike St. John's, William and Mary aren't getting as aggressive as I would expect them to. They're letting St. John's get regrouped in these back ends of the field.
Yeah, and even for a second, they're not even on cart, and they're usually just having one on, so it allows St. John's to reset and hold on to this corner. Tac Visor.
Oh no.
Not really going to cure them. Now grab comes up. Nobody dies on the fall.
It was because of that immortality field coming in from Liam Lizard, but Liam Lizard throwing down that amplification matrix when the gravitic flux comes in, meaning that a lot of that utility is not going to be gained by St. John's. Doesn't matter for Rich, though. Rich does take down Max for the win and is very close to attack Visor of their own. You have to be very careful if you're St. John's. Getting stuck in this saloon area might be a death throw. Rich continuing to navigate around, firing rockets, not exactly sure what those were intended for, and Rich Knight taken down. It's going to be the Transcendence coming in from a Laundry. Rich trying to have to just navigate, get their way. Was denied the health kit, and Max meets them with a punch from the claw. Just like that, Max now going to be going in for a... Actually, might have been repositioned better by that Brig whip shot. It's going to be the Immortality Field now forced out by Liam, and again, it doesn't look like William and Mary are necessarily set up to take this fight, but they're putting a lot of pressure into their opponents.
Yeah, the flail from Slurpee actually helps that pile and that slam so much more. He's like, oh, all right, I'll go into your team and force the Immortality Field. I'm not going to complain. And no, William and Mary, it's been about 2 minutes taken off this clock. Not able to do too much. You're still one and maybe a contest away from getting this. And that's a good start. You take out the Wrecking Ball. Dragons in back to try and separate the back line. And they're going to make them go right into that grab.
Oh, if you stay throwing in the Deadeye, immediately gets taken down by a Laundry. A Laundry throwing down a laundry list of victims now as they finally get taken down by their other support. Eventually, Liam Lizard going to be coming out victorious in that massacre here, but Unique going to continue to try to throw down logs on this high ground. It's the tanks who have to try to back away and get on the cart, but that gravitic flux going to make it so much harder. The Brig eventually cut down, and just like that, second tick eventually achieved for William and Mary, 3 minutes 15.
And you got to think now, what's going through the mind is we cannot get held on this as long as we held them on their offense, because you have about a minute advantage going into this final phase. You have a few ultimates at your disposal, and now Nuklama going over to that Brigitte to try and deal with Jolton Joe on the Wrecking Ball. But if you can start rolling this a little bit, Rich, nice flank from them, takes out a Laundry, and now with no mercy in play, you're going to have to kind of cautiously move forward.
Rage Knight looking to position up onto that high ground for that Tac Visor. Not going to be getting it before Rival falls. You think maybe you just have to try to regroup here, Rage Knight. Eventually cut down. This is just going to be a solid regroup. Nuklama throwing themselves into the mines. I'm going to say it was intentional.
Oh, yeah, it was 100% intentional. At that point, it's like, all right, somebody's going to get all charged. Just give it to the ball, I guess. So you can at least die and go back to spawn. Max for the win. We'll be meeting them shortly in that spawn room. And now it's almost like the minute advantage they had is gone. It's basically where this cart was when St. John's had this much time left, because they were able to continue pushing this cart around that corner without any contest. And now with this Doomfist going into the back of your state, going to try and get something, but the Transcendence saves the entirety. Well, I guess not Rival from his own shots, but it saves everybody else from William and Mary.
And that Transcendence could have still gone a little bit awry. That Doomfist still very capable of those one-shot potentials. We see the Tac Visor coming through. Legs being extended by Rage Knight, eventually cut down by Rich, and William and Mary once again at the drawing board.
Yeah, and God, you wonder if this is starting to get into a sketchy territory now for you, William and Mary. St. John's, they're starting to get up on some good ultimates. You got the meter strike from If You Stay already online. Both tank ultimates coming up soon. Same thing for the support ultimates. You need to win this fight without using too much, and that is not the start you want.
It's a DPS for DPS interaction. They're unique, trying to just survive. They're in a kill room, however. Although right now, the only person contesting for St. John seems to be this Wrecking Ball. Everybody else locked away or having to be forced downfield. If you stay, has this Meteor Strike ready to launch, and there's a couple of choice targets if you're on the side of St. John's that you might be opting into. Rich having to back up, play off of that tanker truck. Ratchet Knight taken down by one beefy shot. It's going to be the supports. Not the support I would have gone for in the Brig, but eventually does get the... Or attempts to go for the kill, doesn't quite connect with it. If you stay, still playing in the back, might try to sink into this Tracer, doesn't quite seem to do so. Wrecking Ball going to be taking a lot of damage. That's exactly what you do if you're a tank. You tank things up just a little bit. And William and Mary doing fairly well on their sustain, not doing so well on their ability to kill. Eventually, Rich and Jolton Joe do fall, so maybe things start to turn in their favor. 23 seconds left, not much time for a regroup if you're going to have one. Trying to meet the Mercy, Liam Lizard kept alive by Slurpee. And it's going to be a Laundry who pops that first support ultimate, the only one with the support ultimate online, as a matter of fact. And that's going to enable the team to get 2 kills if you stay. Liam Lizard, excuse me, both getting taken down. And Rich playing from downfield, going to be trying to get something with the Tac Visor, but just not close enough to play around those long lanes. Overtime does tick down. Somebody needs to touch. Rival has the Sigma Gravitic Flux trying to go online, takes down one enemy Sigma. So many others dying, and William and Mary also going to be capping this in overtime as soon as if you stay on this Doomfist is dealt with.
Yeah, able to do with the Doomfist, and this is the match we've been waiting for. Both of these teams playing at a high level, going just at it every single fight. And if that isn't enough convincing, exact same time bank heading into this overtime with everything to play for. William and Mary trying to force this game 5. St. John's trying to close it out here and improving to 9-1. And would move in, I believe, to 2nd place in the overall standings, with UConn losing earlier today. But what a play just overall from everybody involved. Alondri, I know you kind of know during second phase, just hitting the shots on the Zenyatta. And you need to if you're on that Zen roll, because you are so open to getting flanked. We kind of saw it later on where it was just the Zenyatta of St. John's just kept getting dove and dove and dove. And at some point, you know, you got to swap if you're not getting value, but she was, getting value on that consistently. So now it is St. John's who are on the attack this time around. I worry if you stay is going to get the same amount of value, because they at least know this time around that a Genji is probably in play, and they're going to hold it close, it looks like.
Close is the exact way I would say you have to kind of anticipate playing it here. You have to prevent that cart from moving as far as possible, especially given William and Mary's defense last time around dropping from their fingers at the very last moment. And they are going to get scanned out, so no read early on from them. And then the anti-nade as well going on to the tanks. Max taken down just out of reach of that immortality field. William and Mary, a little bit of a misplay there. I've used the word bungle before, but it feels equally appropriate here. Pile driver comes in from Jolton Joe, who manages to get away. That Diva still chasing, but you're not going to have the speed that a Wrecking Ball will, especially with the peel coming in from Koala Man. William and Mary right now just trying to buy time to get their players back in on the field. They are down a few more in comparison to St. John's, especially with that respawn advantage. And William and Mary doing a great job to buy just already 40 seconds off the clock, and the cart hasn't moved at all. It will now start to make some headway. Turret taken down, immortality field taken down. William and Mary need to let these cooldowns reset, try to get themselves back online and set up for a real first defense.
And now that Max for the win is back, it's full 6-6, and they can hold this same corner where they held for so long earlier. But they're not even going to. They're going to push on forward and try and look for picks in overtime.
And Max doesn't seem to have learned that they get punished for their aggressions. Dragons are going to come out. The dash from the Genji gets hit right in the head by Unique. The Cassidy, the Hanzo, it doesn't matter. Unique's going to find you. Just like that, ready to throw out some storm arrows. Echo needs to be dealt with. The Wrecking Ball needs to be dealt with. This Mercy needs to be dealt with. Otherwise, the Brez is going to come through. And you have a Dragon Blade online with the Nano Boost potentially coming through from Liam Lizard. No, it looks like they're going to hold it in their pocket. That was so crucial. Of all the things that couldn't happen, Slurpee getting that res off was the one.
You need to watch the res. It does not matter what level of play you're in. Watch the res. And now William and Mary just be trying to get back as much as they can. They're going to have time. before the end of this first phase. They're going to have Molten Core on the ready. Diva Bomb Rival also going to be up in time. Max for the Win Shatter will be up soon. Here we go. Molten Core. Maybe try and get them off point. Maybe accidentally C9. Here comes the bomb from Koala Man. They get taken out when they send it off.
So far, it's going to be the Mercy taken down, so no res threat, no healing threat coming in from St. John. St. John's going to be struggling right about now. If you stay, going to be one of the few remaining members along with Jolt and Joe. We've seen how long these characters can survive, though. If you stay drops, that means all the focus is on that wrecking ball. Eventually booped off the grapple, can't get them back in time, and this is the defense that William and Mary wanted the first time around.
It's the one they probably thought they deserved that first time around. It's like, man, we want to touch that point last time. We're maybe already on Busan for map 5, but this time around, you know, in overtime, the win condition's now set. If you get, well, let's just say 70 meters, you're forcing a map 5, and you just gotta think, you know, okay, what can we do? What short-term game plan? You can't think long-term on it's like, oh, second point, third point. You just need to think short-term. How can we build an ultimate? How can we build a win condition the fastest? Because you need to probably win that first fight within, I would say, the first 20 or 30 seconds if you want to have any time left when you enter where St. John's finished.
And with just 1 minute left on the clock, making it just to that 75 meters. It might seem so close, it might also seem like a mile for William and Mary right there. The golden box that will separate them from the losers section. We now see how close, or rather how far they need to go. If you stay, not going to be on the Genshi this time around, going to be starting off on the Doomfist. I think that might be a little misguided on this first point with so many long lines.
Yeah, I worry a little bit, and I get it. You want to go out and scout. I don't know if you would, though, when the time is of the essence. Granted, it only takes about 10 seconds off. Hopefully that does not come to bite them later on. We'll have to wait and see. Is St. John's not going to hold spawn. They're going to hold high ground on the corner. If you stay, can be hiding, even though William Mary, if they hit tab, probably know he's at least existing, but not sure where, and they're about to find out.
Are about to find out. It looks like if you stay actually canceled that charge up, so not going to be committing to it just infirm yet. And with Doomfist, you really have to wait for those cooldowns. If you're waiting for the cooldowns, that means that your opponent's getting a lot of progress. Unique taking down Rich is a great way to start, but once again, res comes through. If you stay dangerously low, will be healed up by Liam and Slurpee, so not too much threat of them getting taken down. Going to be playing just in the wings, and so far, the Doomfist hasn't had the impact that I was really hoping we'd see. Immediately trying to chain in with the combos, getting batted away by the Brig. Unique trying to close the gap, once again hitting another headshot on the Rich, doesn't connect this time with the follow-up. Going to be the Sigma getting sectioned off just a little bit, and this is all progress being made for the cart. This is all the cart making its way slowly towards that golden box. It's going to be the Doomfist taken down. Mr. Koala Man now dangerously low, and St. John's has the work cut out for them. Transcendence going to be trying to keep them alive for that Doomfist to come back. Dragons going out, no Zenyatta Transcendence to save them. Rich getting taken down, a little bit of damage. Oh my goodness, Liam Lizard eating Unique's arrow, trying to save their teammate, it seemed, but will only be delaying the inevitable. Another res coming through, but this one's onto the Ash, who once again has another ultimate online. This time it's going to be the Bob, but the Bob doesn't seem like he's long for this world, getting bullied around, jostled. And Ratchet Knight going to be taking down that Doomfist. William and Mary have ensured that we go to 5th map.
They get it done when it matters, and Unique, I don't know if he can do much more in that game, especially that overtime, just hitting shot after shot. The Dragons were clutch. Play of the game of Laundry as well. Huge play. This was the play we were talking about when that laundry list was building. Takes out the Cassidy during Deadeye, takes out the Tracer trying to take him out. I think they do die shortly after that, but the script, it's gone. It's gone because you can't write this. Like, the exact same time bank heading into overtime, they are getting held at the exact same place that they held St. John's in overtime, and they eventually break through. The ultimates come in just in time because they force that early Transcendence, so you get a free Dragon, you get a free Gravitic Flux coming out from your Sigma. I don't know what else you want from this series. It has been one of the maybe best series we've had of this spring split so far.
Absolutely agree. That is definitely true, I think, Twin, between the games that you and I have casted. Certainly, I don't think we've seen any 5 mappers quite yet, but what an excellent way to start off our second week, folks. This is only our 3rd game of the night. We still have one more to go after this. So even after this, we're not going to be taking we're not going to be quite done with things yet. However, we are going to be taking a break. Both teams know what's on the line here. There's no way for this next one to be a tie. They're going to take a few moments to talk it out. So make sure you stick around, go grab a drink, go grab some snacks. You're going to want to be here for the final map of William and Mary versus St. John's. Well, folks, we are back, and this is it. We are going into map 5 of William and Mary versus St. John's. That map, of course, being the one Busan. No ties here, only bloodshed and a victor to sort things out, Twin Salty.
Yeah, it's win or go home. No ties possible. We will not be seeing a map 6. I think of it. I think, if one of those first few maps goes down, we could have had a map 6 tonight. I wouldn't have been shocked. But I worry. I keep saying I worry for a team and then they pop off. So I'm gonna stop saying I worry. Um, but St. John's in map 1, St. John's looked a lot cleaner than William and Mary on control. But again, William also had some like ping issues, or it was like some FPS issues at that point. So maybe that's changed a little bit. As Fiscal is getting subbed back in for If You Stay, and I think that is a huge benefit for St. John's. Not that If You Stay wasn't doing well, but I think Fiscal is just such an X factor on this team.
I think that in comparison to William and Mary, you need to have a player like Fiscal merely to put the lid on Unique. I mean, we saw Unique just absolutely coming to town on 66. You have to have somebody who matches that, and the Genji, the Doomfist, not going to be sharp enough to deal with that Cassidy. Now, these teams going to be rolling out St. John's, a very familiar composition for them. William and Mary, a very familiar composition for them as well. Immediately, both sides going to start trading shots. Rich going to have to deal with that threat of those hit scans on the ground. Rachel Knight's turret as well as Cassidy's revolver going to be coming through, and Unique taking down Mr. Koala Man to start things off. St. John's, that's not the start you wanted to have here. As well, having to focus a little bit onto that turret by Torbjorn. William and Mary don't get first point possession, though. It will be contested before it goes firmly into the hands of St. John's, but with Fiscal going down, suddenly things looking very good for William and Mary.
Yeah, very good for them. They're in a cap point first, and what a call-out. I'm not sure who made it. But like, oh, Mr. Koala Man, they're alone on that outside lane near the Mega Health Pack, and they just rush them, and that is what this comp is built to do. You put Max in front, you either put the shield up just to protect everyone pushing through, or they can just swing away once they get close, and you just get so much done. Jolt and Joe already going to swap and be on the Wrecking Ball now instead of that Winston and Liam Lizard going over to the Zenyatta. It's William and Mary holding now strong above play. Ratchet and just able to get out.
Ratchet only able to get out because of that overload still being in pocket, give themselves that temporary HP boost. Now Rich going to be going for the pin. Doesn't get anything immediately taken out of that form. It's going to be one Reinhardt exchanged for the duplicate Reinhardt. Slurpee gets taken down, and these teams going shot for shot, but no support on the side of St. John's. They might be a little bit more anemic to push in here. Rich, a nice headshot coming in from Unique. It's really going to show how much a lack of healing can really play into these fights. The Wrecking Ball just trying to get away, the projected barrier coming through. Unique still holding on to this Deadeye, throws it in, eventually might have gotten 3 there, but just a moment too late. Instead just gets the 1. Still going to be happy because this fight is taking so long, almost 66% for William and Mary.
Yeah, already 66% and counting. St. John's not having an answer. They're going to make another swap. Koala Man now over onto the Sigma. Slurpee onto that Mercy. He's got to wonder, again, can you make these changes actually valuable or not?
No.
Especially when Unique is popping off the way he does, as already gets another elimination.
And we see that self-destruct coming in from Rival, chasing down with that Bunny Blaster, trying to get any sort of kills that they can. And Reach Knight going to be throwing in the hammer, at least walking back with the hammer. No surprise that they're going to be taking a little bit of a waddle when it comes to Torbjorn. It's kind of what it feels like. It's going to be the Sound Barrier coming in from Nuklama, trying to keep their team sustained, get it to that 99%. Fiscal having to put a little bit of attention towards that turret once again. St. John's really having to fight to get any sort of percentage here, but William and Mary doesn't want to give it away for free. Rich does go down, but that's an ultimate invested by the Cassidy that St. John's probably would have liked to keep.
Yeah, they definitely... I don't know if you really needed it. I get it. You're in desperation mode, but you need to win that fight to keep this round going. And I guess you only used that in Transcend, so maybe it's not as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. William and Mary now setting up. They have Amp Matrix with the Deadeye coming in from Unique soon. Joel and Joe's going to try and get maybe an environmental. No, going to trap everybody in the corner. Pile Drive gets flashed out.
Excellent opportunity now. Unique going to be the one with the Deadeye. It's going to be the Echo duplicate coming through. Rich immediately pulled out, not been having the best of time with duplicates this time around. Rez trying to come through, but Rival hears it, responds immediately. Slurpee not able to get the benefit for it. It's going to cost Rival their life and their mech, but St. John's now has everybody so dangerously low. Rich trying to float high into the sky. That Baptiste needs to turn attention, but immediately throws down that immortality field. Unique cleaning up with the flashbang. Point is flipped over to William and Mary, so even though the contest is coming through, St. John's not going to be able to buy enough time. It's going to go William and Mary, starting off strong on Busan. This is what they needed, Twin.
It's what they need. And St. John's, once they got a few ultimates going, they were looking at least a little bit better, but their ultimate economy just looked almost like anemic because they kept swapping and swapping. It's like, I would have loved, even if it's not a perfect counter to what William and Mary are running, at one point you just got to stick to it because you're just not going to build the ultimates needed when William and Mary can just keep rotating them. As now as we head to Sanctuary for round number 2, both of these teams now going to be going for pretty similar looks. Alondri back onto that Zenyatta. Unique going to be TPing the team out of spawn at first. So William and Mary going to get to whichever choke they want to ahead of St. John's. And you can tell they're just going to try and take down Unique, is now heading over to the Tracer to try and finish off this game.
Interesting choice here. I liked the Cassidy option coming in from William and Mary. We'll see if Unique can deliver just as well on the speedy time traveler. Max going to be going in for a pile driver. Sinks into the Zenyatta, but a little bit optimistic there. That Cassidy going to be there to prevent or to enforce. Oh, trying to get the kill with the grappling hook. St. John's onto point initially. William and Mary seem content to just let that Wrecking Ball get it for free. And that point progress is going to start ticking up. Not much movement being made by William and Mary so far.
Unique is on Widow. That could potentially be very scary if you're St. John's. Just because we know how good Unique's aim is. We'll have to wait and see if it'll work out. As doesn't really have a shield to work with right now, as Rival's trying to push that right side, and now we're gonna try and look for an opening pick here, and not able to get anything so far. Rich and Fiscal able to keep them at bay, but not for too long.
And this is what I like to see from William and Mary. They did the same thing. Oh my goodness, Unique cracking off right now, getting 4 kills off the back and 3 headshots basically back to back. But like I was saying, William and Mary put pressure onto the point, forcing St. John's to take that same reactive action. The shield drops and Unique just starts cracking heads.
That's what I was worried about. As soon as you see the pick Widow, it's like, you got to be holding your angles a lot smarter if you're St. John's, and they did for a while. But once that Sigma shield started to get low, Unique just started popping heads.
Oh no. Oh, Unique gonna be getting away with the grappling hook of their own. Max now gonna be going once again for a pile driver into the back end. The Transcendence forced out from the Zenyatta, it seems, just to try to mitigate that damage. It looks like the point was flipped by, that looks like the Tracer. Unique could have a tough time hitting that Tracer from these angles. Instead, keeping eyes on it, trying to land the shots. The Tracer going face to face with Widowmaker. Gonna be Fiscal taking down a rival, and Rachinite gonna be the one taken down, and St. John's adapting very effectively here around this Widowmaker.
Yeah, I love the adjustments. Getting Rich off of the Ash and onto the Tracer, just try and put physical pressure onto Unique. As well, Joe and Joe trying to pay a little bit more attention to them in the backline, trying to at least displace them, make them move around a little bit more, make sure they know exactly where they're sitting. Now, with Infrasight going, they know exactly where this Tracer's holding, but nice little bash there to negate that pile drive coming in, but honestly, not much out of this walls.
Not much out of the walls, but it does force the Tracer to take a moment. That means that Rich isn't able to get in and reinforce their team with this combat that they really needed. We can see how much that lack of Tracer firepower really paid off for William and Mary.
It does, and now point flips back yet again. St. John's does get it to 92%. Is now William and Mary going to try and hold Rich in the back. Going to be trying to take out Unique here, but doesn't know exactly where they are quite yet. St. John's, they have 3 ultimates at their disposal. The Deadeye, the Pulse Bomb, probably going to go on to the backline. Maybe try and stick a Laundry because they do not have that Transcendence up quite yet. But here comes the grab, able to hit 2.
Nuclear going to be thrown in the rally. It's going to be kill for kill here. Pulse Bomb goes
right
out,
away.
doesn't connect, but Fiscal taking down the Gravitic Flux goes in that Cassidy. Not long for this world as Rival throws them into the ground. Rage Knight going to be now going in with this Torbjorn, or continuing to go in with the Torbjorn, using that Overload, trying to drill away at this Wrecking Ball, but the Adaptive Shield's just proving too much. Unique trying to connect with the headshots here, barely connecting onto a health kit. Now William and Mary at 80%. Something has to go here. Somebody has to get onto point. It's probably not going to be the Widow, and whoever it is going to have to run head first into some mines. And Fiscal's High Noon going to be dropping it. Transcendence keeping everybody alive as well. Slurpee throwing in damage boost. Valkyrie just for good measure as well. Unique getting one headshot. This might start things off here. A nice body shot onto the Tracer. Doesn't get closed, however. Slurpee even able to bring Liam Lizard back into this fight. Just like that, William and Mary don't have the reinforcements. We're now at a 1-1, and Mecha Base is where this ends, Twin.
How else would we end this? You know, map 5, round 3, both teams, I think, finally at 100%. St. Mary's, it's not St. Mary's. I'm getting I'm mixing the two names here. William and Mary was so close to getting Transcendence up. Alondri, when they were taken out, was at 97%. If they just hit maybe 1 or 2 more shots, they build that Transcendence. They can go to point, stall even longer, and maybe this map is done with. But St. John's, they know exactly what they're doing. Jolt and Joe takes them out before they take out the Widow, just because a lot of that healing, extra damage output is coming from Alondri on that Zenyatta. Is now would be Mecha Base for the final round. Both teams going to Reinhardt and the Diva, Lucio Baptiste. The only difference is going to be Rich on that Hanzo compared to Ratchet on the Torbjorn. How is this map and this series going to end out?
You have to think it favors William and Mary just a little bit. St. John's not looking as comfortable, at least based on their pick rates for that close quarters, tight engagement. But so far, William and Mary not finding any immediate picks. Rich taken dangerously low, and Max slowly edging their way towards the opposing team, slowly starting to build up that Earth Shatter as well. Kept alive by their Baptiste, trying to get a couple swings, and goes for the Cassidy, does connect. A great start. That Cassidy not being able to hold the high ground means that now William and Mary's Cassidy is going to be able to hold it themselves. Those walls come up, separating the tanks just a little bit for St. John's, who are now just trying to get away. Played a little bit of the rope-a-dope, however, eventually able to get that point captured in their favor. William and Mary going to be taking up while their opponents have 8.
Yeah, St. John's only able to get 8% as William and Mary win them, and they lose that initial battle, you could say, but they win the war of winning and getting control of this high ground to start off this map. And now Unique, almost already at high noon, could be trying to shoot through this window to try and get it here, as both teams playing a very dangerous game. And the Shatter goes down, knocks down 3, Speed Deadeye gets 2.
The Deadeye gets 2, followed up with another by onto Jolt and Joe. Ben goes in heavy, and William and Mary are looking to put an exclamation point onto this.
They're wanting to say, we looked off. We know we looked off on Lijiang Tower. We're not messing around this time around. And now 40% and counting. Diva Bomb and Molten Core on the horizon. St. John's going to look to put down a fat Shatter here to try and turn back the tide of this round.
Oh no, and you're really going to have to be on your toes if your Max. Earth Shatter goes out, connects on the 3, including the Molten Core. Ratchet Knight taken down, and just like that, St. John's leading ahead. They invest quite a few ultimates, but Koala Man's going to have the self-destruct, Sound Barrier as well. Deadeye, Amplification, all going to be coming through. William and Mary are going to be looking a little slim for resources.
There'll be a little bit slim out of resources this fight, and I don't think it'll be too detrimental. William and Mary actually going to be going underneath. Don't think St. John's know it quite yet, as they're just going to rush points, which you do lose high ground control, and that window is not where you wanted it, and Alondri's going to pay the price for it.
Alondri pays the price, but it costs St. John's the opportunity to continue holding this point. It's going to be the Diva flying in, but because of that Amplification Matrix, Unique able to just throw away a lot of damage. The shield taking down. Eventually, Max falls to the self-destruct as well. And this progress means it's only going to tick upwards for William and Mary. Unique, Rival, both still very much in this fight. And they snake away the point from St. John's and snake away the fight as well. It's amazing.
I don't know how they did it. I thought, like, you're giving up high ground control, and St. John's needs to be contesting that point. They got flipped so quickly, and now, 97, 98, somebody needs such, and somebody does in the long run, and Rich at least gets maybe the most important pick off.
Oh, but so does Rich go down. Now there's not going to be any dragons in the fight. Both those DPS losing their ultimate, and Rage Knight going to be throwing down 2 kills into their pocket. Nuke trying to keep their team alive, but can only amp so hard as the Brazilian DJ. Now William and Mary looking to just clean up. Overtime going to tick down. This was looking like a ping pong match, but William and Mary spike the ball.
What a match. What a series. Both teams, you should hold your heads held high. But William and Mary, they win this incredible game. And some of that, I should say, a good chunk of that is to this man right here. As this was the play, it's like, all right, he's for real. You need to watch because 1, 2, 3, gets a 4th right after it. Bang, 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 changes that round. And granted, they even lose that round, but you at least build momentum like, all right, we have confidence in our team. And it was gutsy to go underneath like they did because high ground control on Mecha Base is so important, whether it's on bridge or on main. And they still cap it. They get the flip because St. John's makes the simple mistake of not getting somebody on to touch that point. That is maybe the difference maker. It's a difference between a fully set up fight and what we got at the end. It's like, oh, rush. Oh, somebody needs a touch. Somebody needs a touch. Somebody does. You leave the back door wide open. Ratchetnet not going to make that mistake. What a series.
Yeah, it was wild. And we talked, I think, in between the 3rd and 4th map where it felt like William and Mary for a lot of times were deciding how these maps would go, but just off that one mistake, St. John's lost that last fight all within themselves, not touching and not holding on to their ultimates, not operating on that high ground with the effectiveness that they needed to. And that's what lost them. They could not decide their own fate at that very most unfortunate moment for them. And because of that, William and Mary going to happily be taking away that victory. But man, oh man, Twin Salty, we saw these teams really go tooth and nail for this.
That is a hard fought. That is like a playoff caliber game right there. Both teams giving it their all, knowing exactly what they need to do to get it done. Yes, both teams made mistakes. Like, it's going to happen. It's only 2nd week into the spring split. Teams maybe still getting a little bit of that rust off. What more can you ask for from both of these teams? We will be going to a very quick break as we have Rival from William and Mary coming in for the interview right after this.
Hello and welcome back, folks. I hope that was enough time to catch your breaths after that whirlwind game. I know that I'm still a little short of breath here at Twin Salty, but to calm us down a little bit, we're going to be here sitting in the interview booth with Rival from William and Mary. Rival, hello, welcome, and a very big congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, it's always a pleasure. Now, I want to kind of talk about your mindset because it was very back and forth. Twin called it a ping pong match. I completely agree with that. Up until, of course, Busan. With it going to 5 maps, what was the mindset both within you and within your team looking for that 5th map where perhaps things were getting a bit longer than you expected?
Our mindset was just, we got this, go in, play our game, don't tilt. We knew we were capable of winning this, and so we all just tried our hardest, kept cool, kept calm. I mean, as calm as we could, and I think that's what really did wonders for us in the end.
I mean, wonders indeed. That 3-2 scoreline, not going to be telling any lies there, rival, at least not from my point of view. But I want to ask now, when you talk about, or I want to talk about your kind of preparation going into this match. We saw a lot of that Torbjorn coming through for William and Mary. Was that something that's near and dear to the hearts of William and Mary, or is it just kind of something that you anticipated maybe St. John's might have a little bit more problems with?
Yeah, we definitely, I think, whipped out the Torbjorn, like specifically for St. John's. I mean, we know that, it would take attention away from, our back line, and it would give, Rich something to waste his stickies on, and it would make it harder for their Winston comps for them to just get in. So that was definitely something we prepared specifically for them in their sort of dive central style.
So obviously, this is a huge win for you guys. Now you move in 8-2 on the season, 3-1 in the Eastern Conference, and this is a huge win against a conference opponent who is above you in the standings. I think you guys will move up to like third, maybe after this. How does that do for the mindset for the rest of this season? To where the rest of your schedule, it eases up a little bit after this. You don't play as many teams that are in the top half of the standings. How does that kind of set the momentum, set the mood for these last 6 weeks?
I think it gives us a lot of breathing room, but I also think that, we're only going to get better from here. And being able to, like beat St. John's in this fashion, who are, again, just a very, very tough opponent that we had to prepare a lot for. We know we can do it, like not even at like our future peak. And so we're going to keep practicing as hard as we can. We're going to keep learning, and we're definitely going to be stronger by the end of the season. And I think this was a big development towards that goal.
Yeah, and I think for you guys as well, you have a playmaker. It seems like at every single role, and honestly, anybody can pop off at any second. You had Unique popping off, especially at the very end on the Widow. You were popping off. You were like Mr. Consistent tonight for you
Thank you.
guys,
Thank you.
and then Alondri as well.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was just ridiculous, especially in Route 66. How does it feel to have that level of trust in your teammates to know, like, even if I'm not doing extremely well, like the rest of my teammates got me?
I mean, it's great. We even talked about, how we think we have like a lot of trust, and how that's a big strong suit in our team, and that ultimately like our trust in each other, and that ability to just like rely on each other, know that they're going to perform their role to the best of your teammates' ability is it's really great, and it's really something. And I think it was definitely a huge factor in the win today.
Well, fantastic. A huge factor in the win. A huge factor for a huge victory, I would say, at William and Mary. Rival, once again, thank you for coming in here, answering a few of our questions, hanging out, allowing us to catch our breath after that exciting match. But before we let you go, do you always like to offer the opportunity for any shout outs, whether it's you, your friends, your family, your opponents, whoever? You have the floor.
Yeah, yeah. First, I want to shout out Wichita for scrimming with us and sort of becoming St. John's, so we could like know what to expect and how to play into it. I also want to shout out our coach Dylan, aka Voyager, for really stepping it up this split, and really like filling that role well.
All right. Well, fantastic, Rival. Once again, thank you for coming in here. And in case I haven't said it enough, huge congratulations.
Thank you, and again, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And now, Twin, we will be taking a brief break. We will be right back, folks, with Wichita versus Hawaii. If you're looking for more action, though, Colorado versus UT Arlington on official EGF, Iona versus Cincinnati on official EGF2. So make sure to catch them while we go to a brief break, but we will be right back with more action.